Keisha, you talk about being a woman of color is one of your most salient identities. How does your portfolio showcase multicultural competence and your commitment to the success of all students?
So in this, I really talk about salient identities and name quite a few of mine, but I want to focus on the image. So when I was taking Leadership in Education 1 last winter with Dr. Tim Wilson, the first assignment he asked us to do was take a picture of leadership. And so I thought about, various things that, what does leadership look like to me? What does that mean to me? And I have this mirror on my desk and it says person in charge of my future, which is a really important concept to me. And thinking around how I want to engage with students. So getting back to adapting, understanding student issues. As a professional and as a person, when I engage with students and I'm thinking around how am I empowering people to be their own, resource essentially. I think that the image of having myself and seeing myself as a leader is really important. So I try to engage with students and help them think about what are their strengths, what are their qualities, what are their identities, how are they being challenged in that, how is what they're experiencing as a student, as a person, being influenced by their identity, by being influenced by the privilege of being a college student. So all of those different elements. And so I use this mirror as, as a tool to help students think about, okay, I'm the person in charge of my future, my actions have consequences, my actions can lead to great places, to being in a place where I am receiving what I need to do. And so getting this when I was an undergrad student, this mirror that I got from my internship when I was at Fred Meyer Corporate in Portland, Oregon, I did an internship, and the first thing they gave us was this mirror for us to think about what are the concepts of leadership, how are you bringing to the table your whole self, or at least part of yourself to be able to engage in whatever you're experiencing. And so I have that lens when I think about multicultural competency, and I will go to artifact D, which talks about multicultural competency and my best presentation, which I did in my student development theory course. And our presentation was around spirituality and meaning making and the intersection of learning styles. And so how are people engaging and making meaning of what they're learning and bringing their identities in that. And so in doing this presentation and working with the students at Bailey Gadsford Elementary School and the student volunteers from Seattle U, we were interacting with students who are in a very diverse neighborhood and space in the work that they're doing, but also thinking about how you talk about your identity really impacts other people, and teaching students around impact versus intent and the really core concepts around that. So, and I take that kind of impact versus intent into thinking around, okay, you were having a conversation around your identity or, saying something derogatory about someone else. It's important to understand that your words have impact, right? And so I spend a lot of time in terms of multicultural competency, not re-educating, but helping students critically think and broaden their horizon around what it means to be in a space of privilege and have these conversations, but the impact you're having on other people, which relates back to being able to look at yourself in the mirror and understand that you're in charge of what actions are going on. You're in charge of what the impact of how you're impacting other people's lives and communities. And so, and the foundation of that, I think, should be understanding multicultural competency. Other people have various identities, and I should be mindful of what I do, what I say, because it is going to have an impact.
So, as we talked in preparing for this day, that you have three, I think, major themes happening in your portfolio. One is, as Louisa mentioned, one about identity, particularly around intersections of identity. And another is around leadership. And then the third piece would be about the sympathy. And many of the questions and your responses have really been in that the arena of those three themes. And so, Keisha, I'm curious, what is not in your portfolio? What is a theme that is not in your portfolio, but important to you?
Theme that is not in my portfolio. It's not So I think here, this piece that I'm highlighting around, so I recently did this consulting job with Northeastern University around digital storytelling facilitation, which was extremely interesting, and of course, like there's networks that are existing there, and that's how I came to that opportunity. And it was at a university, so that to be expected. But the piece around the use of technology and being an expert in multiple areas, I think is really important. So a theme that's not in my portfolio that I've been developing more in this program is coming to a place where I'm okay saying, if I take this master's degree and I go into my next role, I'm at a university or I'm at a nonprofit organization or wherever I end up, if in the long run I decide to move somewhere else, as far as in my professional space, if I move to a business or organization or different things, that's okay. And just being okay with everything doesn't need to be a set plan. Even though the organization and the seriousness of this portfolio might imply that, but things will be okay as they are supposed to be okay. And if I end up in a different workspace, it's not student affairs, even though I have a master's in a student affairs area, that's okay. If I, whatever I end up doing, I'm always going to have an existing network and space of people who understand my talents, time, potential, and in other spaces that don't have to do with higher education necessarily. And I think that being okay with that truth has been really important, and it also gets back to the learning outcome. It talks about leadership on here. Developing and demonstrating leadership and collaboration. I think that that's a very general learning outcome, and it can be applied in any space that you're at, regardless of whatever your profession is, whatever your education level is, whatever you're doing in your life. There are moments and things that happen to us in our lives, but that doesn't define who we are forever. And I think that something I've been working on as a course assistant with Alvin in this course that I'm doing this quarter is the idea of not freezing people in time, and which is a really powerful concept for me where I'm at in my graduate education, but thinking I won't be frozen in this program or in this moment or in this space of my identity forever, and to know that that's okay is really affirming. And it has nothing to do with this portfolio. Thank you for the question.
We have quite a few minutes.
Okay. So I have a question that deals with selfishly a little bit. I come from a traditional background, traditional school, that's what university which you attend as well, that's where I got my master's, which is very traditional. Seattle U is a very traditional school where students are on campus. We have commuter students. How would you apply your what you have learned in the classroom here to an online university? Your student affairs skills. How would you apply those skills to an online environment?
Great question. So I think that it really speaks to almost the danger that student affairs is in terms of higher education, and different institutions just really being like, you know what, we're moving to an online model. Do we really need student affairs professionals on campus? And that because I'm such a personable person, that kind of scares me, the idea of that. But the interaction with students, that's why I'm interested in being in student affairs in general. If I had to move that to a strictly online space, it would, to be really honest, that would be very difficult. But it does get back to the idea of how is the use of technology and the ability to engage with students present, and what people in other fields have developed in terms of technology. How can we utilize that to still make those connections with students, without having the impersonal contact. I think it would look very different. It would definitely change the type of experience that students have. Obviously, as someone who is a student affairs professional and looking in this field, and my master's in this program, I'm like, student affairs is absolutely relevant. We need this on college campuses, but the financial situation of higher education institutions cannot be ignored, and so that move is something that's more likely to happen. But the use of technology and having an online space, I think, is significant, and that you're still able to engage with students just in a different way. That would be tough for me. To be really honest.
So in your intro, you alluded to the number of places you've plugged in and been involved here at CLU, whether academically, professionally, kind of across the board. What legacy do you think you're leaving here at CLU?
Okay. That was a big word. Legacy. What legacy? I hope there's obviously the space of continued leadership throughout my entire time in the program, as I was listing off different things that I've been involved in, different committees and SUSE team and whatnot. But I think more than that, on a one-on-one personal level, I am someone who people come to or engage in conversation with around very difficult conversations, and being someone to kind of, I don't want to say coach someone, but encourage someone in how to have a courageous conversation, how to be yourself, how to be bold, how to be phenomenal and speak your truth in a space where you need to do that. That's definitely been something that I hold as a theme of conversations in a one-on-one capacity that I've had with numerous colleagues and classmates and people on campus, and the respect for someone's confidentiality in that, and the professionalism of being able to engage in, let's have a conversation about how this is shaping you as a person or a professional or a student, without it turning into like mudslinging or something really like nasty. So I think that the space of leadership, professionalism, and confidentiality in a courageous conversation in a one-on-one relationship with my classmates and colleagues is definitely something that I'm leaving. Well, I'm taking that with me as well, but something that's been experienced in the program.
Kind of going along with that, Keisha, after creating your portfolio and kind of being reflecting on all your experiences and who you've become as a leader, what is your elevator pitch?
My current one is, hi, my name is Keisha. I'm graduating from CLU really soon. I'm talented in the areas of A, B, and C, like leadership, conversation, facilitation, higher education, so on and so forth. I'm looking for a job. Can you employ me? Okay, that's great. It's okay if you can't, because we can still have a conversation and think about how we can create a network together, and perhaps I can connect you to somebody else that I know. That's what it is right now, to be really honest, but really, I'm looking for a job. It's very as honest as I can get.
All good.
I'm so glad that that was the question right before mine, because my question is about your next job.
Do you know what it's going to be?
I do not, but I know it's going to be wonderful. There's something wonderful waiting for you and all of your talent.